Welcome to the Killjoy After Party.
Think the fun is over once you quit drinking?
Think again.
We have a booze-free beverage shop in Nashville, and we hear stories from our customers all the time about how much better life is after booze.
And we're excited to share these stories with you.
And since this is Nashville, you bet your ass we're
Making it musical.
Yeah, it tastes like sunshine, like a real good time, lifting my mood and it brightens my day. Gonna rise and grow, no alcohol, get my sparkle on. Gonna rise and grow, no alcohol.
All right, kick it off, Wichita.
Hello, Lee. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
We're so excited that you're here.
It's always nice to have fellow locals on here. You know, we love the people coming. Like, I get it, but it's always nice to have somebody from the Ville on the show to kind of share that perspective.
Yeah, there's not, for those of you who are not in Nashville, it's very rare in this day and age to meet someone who was born and raised here.
Yeah.
And we have Lee who was. So Lee, why don't you just kind of give us a little bit of your story? Give us kind of your background.
So yeah, born and raised here in Nashville, unicorn through and through.
Yes.
However, I did live in Illinois for about 6 years when I went to college up there. So I have experienced other places. I am a professional dancer, choreographer, singer-songwriter, podcaster, typical, Southern upbringing. My dad is an ordained minister. So a lot of my creativity derived from being in the church and then slowly branching off to other opportunities. And at the same time, I was also coming to terms with various parts of my identity, and I began deconstructing in my faith. Once I got sober, I was like, okay, I think I have more spaciousness, and because I am not hunkered down by excessive drinking and mental health crisis.
Got some free time, yeah.
Yeah, I got some free time and had more inspiration to dream some things up again. I'm getting ready to launch another podcast called I Don't Know What I'm Doing.
I love those.
The title speaks for itself, like just talking about all the shit we don't know and like being okay with that, especially as adults. While like drinking isn't at the core of the issue, like it is part of the issue. And when I'm not well, I don't have a good relationship with alcohol. So I decided like, we got to let that go and we need to be in some recovery spaces. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm a creative, I'm a weirdo, but also like super witchy and still kind of churchy. So
Right. Those are my favorite people. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know that I've ever heard anyone describe themselves as both witchy and churchy, but I am curious about, you talked about kind of deconstructing your religious past and then moving back to Nashville where you said your dad was a minister.
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
It really wasn't that deep. No. I feel like I'm very fortunate to have the parents that I have. And while they're definitely not perfect, no one is, compared to what I know could happen and what I have seen happen with other people, especially, I identify as queer. So like being able to like come out to my parents as queer and at the same time, like starting to, have conversations about, I don't really believe these aspects of what you taught me anymore, or I have a different approach or understanding of, these things. That can be super scary. And like, while it did take me a long time to like be open with my parents because of the social conditioning and the religious indoctrination that happened, I always knew that like my parents were never going to like disown me or discard me, even though it would be hard. We could coexist in a radical way, even through our differences and strong disagreements. But like at the end of the day, my parents have always reiterated their love for me and their support. And through the yelling matches and like, you know, I've had to set a lot of boundaries, but it's like I can always come home. Like I'm always going to come to Thanksgiving and we're always going to like find something to laugh about together. There's been ups and downs, but it's actually been like really great. And I know a lot of folks cannot say that about their experience. I find that a lot of the grief that I have experienced is from like other folks in my community and not necessarily like my dad or my mom. Moving back to Nashville, you know, it's the Bible Belt, but I also feel like as folks have been moving into the city, like it's a little bit more progressive. People are much more open.
Is it? Are they?
I think so.
And in Nashville.
Yeah,
In
Davidson
Nashville,
County.
like
Yeah.
if you stay in the, but even like, you know, on the outskirts, like in Franklin and Murfreesboro, like while there is a lot of deeply rooted, you know, I say this in quotes, like traditional values, I feel like people are a little bit more open to having some conversations, even if they're not going to land where you land. Like, I think people are a little bit more open. And the ones that aren't, like, they are living in a bubble and are living in solitude and tend to be like a little bit unhinged at times. I think I just got really lucky. Like, even the church I grew up in, my pastor is very social justice oriented. And, you know, I remember folks would come because my church, it was Jefferson Street Baptist Church. I will shout them out. They, you know, folks would come out off the street on night watch service, you know, and I mean, some of them were intoxicated, quite frankly, and in crisis. And they would come into the church and, you know, people would look and stick up their nose at them. And my pastor, Reverend James Thomas, would say, "Eyes front, don't you know that all God's children are welcome in his house? You weren't always clean. You're not any better. And all are welcome in his house." And so like seeing that modeled to me as a kid, like I think I've just been surrounded by folks who are like willing to argue in love, you know?
Yeah, sometimes you have to, it may seem like an argument, but it's a conversation and it's just trying to understand each other. Like you can have opposing views and still have a conversation on, I just want to understand where you're coming from. It doesn't have to be, I'm trying to convince you to come to my side. It's like, I'm literally trying to see the other side. A lot of people don't take it that way, but I love that
For sure.
y'all were doing that in the church, man.
Yeah, very, very prominent in social justice spaces. And they used to call him the mayor of North Nashville. He was always working with community organizers. And so it's just, I think having that background, I've always been very intentional about surrounding myself with people, regardless of belief or whatever, who are interested in community building and living in radical difference, and that like difference is okay as long as, you know, we're loving each other and respecting each other, and like ultimately like we're all gonna need each other at some point. And I definitely think that that has played a big part in me being able to recover in the way that I have.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm seeing over and over again in the conversations that I'm having with people how challenging it can be to find a community where you feel safe and you feel seen and you feel heard. And there are people with similar experiences to you, especially now that I think there's such a spectrum of folks who are quitting drinking, people who don't really identify with going to AA, people who are wanting other alternatives, and they're popping up, which is exciting. For you, have you found that your community you already had was supportive of this change, or have you had to find new community?
I think for the most part, my community was very supportive.
That's awesome.
I think it is partly due to a very cultural shift in the conversation of, you know, what sobriety looks like for a variety of people and the reasons why people decide to stop drinking. I think part of it is like age. You know, I'm in my early 30s now, so free time to like party and drink is less, and people are a little bit more focused on other goals.
And I think people are a lot more understanding if you say, this isn't serving my mental health, where like maybe 10 years ago that wasn't a thing, but now like now people are getting like, we're learning that alcohol really exacerbates anxiety and causes other problems to be worse. So I think people are starting to get that. Do you feel like that?
Even just like for health reasons, you know, it has like opened me up to like new community as well and get the support I needed in an intentional way. So I think through like some recovery spaces, like it has opened me up to like being around different people, which is really nice. I did an intensive outpatient program at Vanderbilt, and the AA/NA format was very familiar to a lot of folks. But what I really appreciated about Vanderbilt was this nuance of like recovery looks different for people, and you have options and agency. And a lot of times in group, I would express like, I don't want sobriety to become my whole identity and personality. I don't want to go to 5 AA meetings a day. I want to continue to live my life the way I've always wanted to live my life. And I just don't see how like constantly being caught up in recovery spaces like actually helps me live my life. And I'm like, I'd like to take the tools that I'm gaining in IOP so that I can function in everyday life.
Right.
And part of putting that to the test is to be coexisting in spaces with people who are in a different place, you know, with their relationship to alcohol or other substances, and be able to like stand firm and be like, I don't do that. And it's cool if you do, but that's not where I'm at. But I'm still able to participate in everyday life. So through IOP, one of the recovery coaches had mentioned recovery dharma because we were having a session on like spirituality and how, you know, spirituality can be a great way to, you know, reconnect to self and everything. So he had brought up recovery dharma, and I was like, wow, this sounds like a very awesome alternative to AA, because for me, AA reminded me a lot of the things that I didn't like about church. Like it just felt very culty, and I was like, and I know that there's nuance with that too, but it was a little too triggering for me. And it reminded me of like the self-deprecating that I used to do. Like, oh, I'm unworthy and gotta be born again. Like there was some similar language. And I was like, no, that's part of the reason why I'm in here is because of the self-deprecating. So recovery dharma is based in Buddhist principles. And so a major component of it is meditation. And it's a little bit more trauma informed, and my struggles with alcohol are very much rooted in trauma. So I felt like recovery dharma was a little bit more relatable to me and my situation. And I started, you know, attending some recovery dharma meetings like online. And then I started going to Wild Heart in East Nashville, where they don't just have recovery dharma, they have general like dharma meetings and discussions and meditation practice. And that just seemed a little bit more relaxed. And the folks there are like, we don't need to be here all day. I meditated, and now let's get coffee and shoot the shit.
I almost think of it like, as opposed to joining the sobriety cult, I just wanted to get out of the drinking cult. Like I wanted to get into the freedom cult where I can just, I love what you said, just live my life how I am choosing to live it, you know, and to be free of any addictions or constraints or whatever, so that I can do what I want to do. And I think your self-awareness is really impressive, especially you consider yourself like older, it sounds like, but to me, you seem like so wise for your years. Like, wow, how did you get so wise?
I don't know.
A lot of therapy. Yeah. Trauma made you wise. Shit.
Trauma, being neurodivergent, I don't know.
Well, and I mean, honestly, I just also want to say, I think you're very brave to come, you know, to come back and tell your family, like, here's my perspective on things, which is different. And to say, I need to make this change for my mental health, and I'm brave enough to do it in a society where, the norm is drinking, and that's what people go back to, and that's how people deal with things, and that's what's normal. You're able to take the steps that you need to do to be authentic to yourself, and I think that's pretty fucking rad.
Well, thank you for saying that.
Yes. And in addition to that, you're making art, you're putting great stuff out into the world, which I think when a lot of people quit drinking, they've got energy, and to channel it into something creative and something positive. I mean, that's definitely what we want to be doing. I see a lot of people doing that, but I love to see that. And we're going to work on that a little bit together. But let me ask you, what advice would you give if there's somebody listening to this right now who's like, God, I really relate to your story and I want to make that jump? What's a piece of advice that you would give to someone considering quitting alcohol?
A lot of people talk about one day at a time or one moment at a time, which I think is very helpful, but also like knowing that there's a possibility that there will come a day or a moment or a time where you're going to fall short, or you're not going to show up in the ideal way of the process of not drinking. They say like relapse is a part of recovery. So already just going into it, like it's not a moral failing on you. I think the advice I would give is to detach the morality of drinking or not drinking, like with yourself, but to just focus on how to be well and what that looks like for you. And I think the drinking is like a symptom, but we have to address like the actual root problem. It's hard. I don't know, like learn to be okay with like feeling foolish.
Yes.
And I think like tapping back into like your inner child and being like, it really isn't that serious. And like a lot of people probably feel the same way you do. So just get over yourself.
Yeah,
Like,
get over yourself.
Literally, we're like,
this was my mantra going into the year before last, which was one of the most transformative years of my life, was to just make bad art. To just like, the goal is not to make good art. The goal is to be doing something creative and to try to enjoy that process and not even think about the end goal. And that's also what we're trying to do on this podcast with our songs.
Absolutely.
Is like, we're making bad art, but we're doing it.
Oh.
yeah,
So I think that's some sage advice.
yes.
All right. So I also want to know, a question we've been asking everybody is like, so people think, you quit drinking and then life's super boring and you never have fun again, of course. But you've been out there doing stuff. So tell us about something like post-drinking that you've done that's been like exciting or wild and crazy or fun, whatever.
Since I've stopped drinking, I definitely have been performing a lot more and like feeling relaxed doing it.
Okay.
With like less self-criticism. Last night, my roommate and I went to karaoke at a local place here in Antioch, and there were a lot of awkward moments that occurred. We just like sang our hearts out.
What did you sing? What's your go-to karaoke song?
Okay, so when I'm going to karaoke with my roommate, it's now a thing for me to sing "The Best" by Tina Turner.
Yes.
It's like it's like my tribute to her, and I like literally sing it to her. I did some Britney Spears last night.
Hey.
I
Wait,
did,
which Britney song? Which Britney song?
I did "Slave for You."
Ooh.
All right.
Because I was just like, let's,
Let me hear your Britney voice. Do you do the Britney voice?
no.
Do you have a Britney voice? Let's all try to do it.
Oh, baby, I can't.
I was like, I'm a slave for you.
Ooh.
Yes. All right, Rude. Let me hear your Britney.
I don't know if I have anything. No, I don't have it.
That sounded exactly like her.
The next time I'm going to karaoke, I think I'm going to try Work Bitch, because I feel like that's when I really like try to imitate her voice because of all the different like voices she's doing, where she's like, "Go tell the governor."
Awesome, man. Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about this last night when we were at karaoke. Like a lot of folks in that space were, you know, heavily intoxicated, and therefore, like choices were being made where I was like, you know, like, is that really like what we want to be doing? But also, like, noticing that even though like people have this lubricant, they're still awkward as hell. And like, just, and I'm thinking
They
like,
just don't think they're awkward.
Yeah.
some people lean into that, whether they're sober or intoxicated, but like witnessing people make choices and like do things and say things where it's like not depicting them in like the best light, but then not being fully aware that they're
Oh, this is really hitting home for me because this was me completely out there drinking, like thinking I was cool when I'm sure I was very, very not cool all the time. And
What? You were cool? Hush. I don't believe that.
No, just being drunker than I needed to be. You know, we're beyond the point of like, you know, this isn't how I want to show up at all, and not having any awareness of how I was showing up because of alcohol.
I mean, I will admit I was very entertained by watching people have zero inhibition. And I do feel a sense now, like especially when I'm in bar settings, like I feel like my mama like comes out, but not in a way of like I need to control you, but it's more of like I am just way more on guard about people who take advantage of folks who are drunk.
Yeah.
Or like, and now I'm gonna like gently move you, sir, to the right because you are creepy. And you know, because when people are intoxicated, they're not as aware of their surroundings. And so I just kind of am like, and now we're gonna move to the left, we're gonna move to the right.
We call that shepherding. You're out there herding, shepherding them around. Yes.
I am really enjoying that role. And I think it helps me practice being brave too, because it's like I'm used to like being a people pleaser and be like, well, oh, you know, but now I'm like, oh no, I'm fully aware of what's happening and we're not going to put up with certain things. And so I enjoy being like the fun, cool mom at the karaoke bar who is shaking her ass to Britney Spears, but also like, do not drug my friends.
That's all we can ask. Yeah, that's all we can ask. You got to come out with us.
All right. I think it's time. Well, this time for the rapid fire round. So we're going to ask you some questions. Don't think about it. Just whatever the first thing that comes to mind is. This is very casual. What is your favorite color?
Purple.
Purple.
Favorite animal?
Lion.
What is your favorite type of dance?
Tap.
Oh, she's a tapper.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Favorite alcohol-free drink right now?
Okay. Shameless plug. Frankie J's has this Virgin Paloma.
Okay.
So good.
Okay, Frankie J's Virgin Paloma.
It's the right amount of sour.
What is your favorite feature of your own face?
My eyebrows.
Nice.
I was going to mention something about them being on fleek, which I know is not a thing we're allowed to say anymore, and then I was like, I just got to let this go.
I love it. No, let's bring back on fleek. I'm here for it.
Favorite nickname for the Ville? For Nashville? Damn it.
I don't know. Probably like Nash Vegas.
Nash
it's
Vegas.
True.
Nice.
All right, so we know you're a dancer, but what's your favorite way to move your body in general?
You know, I like to just do a little step touch.
Okay, little
Less is
step
more.
touch. I love it.
A little
step
shoulder.
touch.
A little shoulders in
Yeah.
there, maybe. Yeah.
You know, I like to do the like church lady rock. You know, that's why I say I'm still churchy. Yeah, I like to do that a lot. As the old folks would say, I'm just a little touched, and so my neuro spiciness just needs to stem out a little bit.
Yes,
so.
yes.
Well, you're very multifaceted. What do you do for fun?
I am obsessed with like cult documentaries. So I like to go on deep dives.
Yes.
Whether it's a documentary or a podcast, I love listening to podcasts, but like, yeah, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
That's a great answer. You crushed it. And what musical instruments can you play?
Piano. And yeah, that's it. I mean, I guess I could bang on a drum if I really wanted to. But.
Bang on that drum.
Bang on a drum.
You got any more questions?
That's all I got.
Favorite snack? It looked like I wrote down favorite shark. What's your favorite shark?
The one from that movie, The Meg.
Yes. That shark did not give a fuck, man. Shark was crazy.
That movie was so ridiculous.
All right. Well, that's the rapid fire. So
Sweet.
we're ready for the magic. It's time for the magic.
So we've got, me and Rude have been taking copious notes over here. We've got a bunch of things.
This is collaborative.
This is collaborative.
Question. What pronouns do you prefer?
She, her, or they, them.
Okay. So here's what I've come up with.
You got bars over there.
I got bars. I
She's
wrote
got
them
like,
down.
okay.
I'm good. We've done this a couple times now. I'm getting better at
I love it.
Their name is Lee. Eyebrows on fleek. Knows what they need. A little Brittany. Argues in love. Eyes front. Shepherds the drunk with a little step touch.
That's a hit. That's a banger.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
Coexist in
I
a
love that.
radical way was something you said that I loved, so I wrote that down. Coexist in a radical way. They've got so much to say. 2 podcasts, and then I need another.
2 podcasts.
I mean, you've got
I
2
love that.
Podcasts I was something with ass. I don't know.
Yes!
It's right there. It's right there.
Always shaking that ass.
Always shaking that ass.
Yeah, always shaking that
Always
ass.
shaking
All
that
right.
ass. Okay. Her name is Lee. Eyebrows on fleek. Because you said you like that, but I know that is not a cool thing
No,
to say.
I'm here for the on fleet.
Knows what they need. A little Brittany. I was just looking for rhymes
like-
with the E sound.
Yeah. Knows what they need.
Cult documentaries.
Or what if it was like knows what they need, Britney and cult documentaries?
Yeah, I love
Alright.
it.
Okay.
He can make that work.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Brittany and cult documentaries. I feel like there's something with eyes front and step touch that both sound like a
Yeah.
Okay.
thing to me.
All right.
Yeah. Eyes front, shepherds the drunk with a little step touch.
Bebopping around. You did say bebopping
Be
around.
bopping around. I do say that a lot. Be bopping around.
Fooling on the town.
Yeah, be bopping around, fooling on the town, eyes front, shepherd the drunk with a little step touch.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah. Since this is like indie rock, like a chant part.
Yeah.
that'd
That's
be
why I
fun.
feel like
Yeah.
eyes front or step touch both feel like you could just like
Yeah.
repeat those or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Eyes front, step touch. Now it kind of sounds like a military march.
It's got a cadence though. That's fine. We can
They
fit
had
It
different
does.
meanings to me than that, but
So it'd be
Yeah.
we could also change Britney to karaoke if that would fit the same thing if you're not feeling Britney.
Oh, yeah. Well, because, karaoke is like a little bit more all encompassing. Yeah.
Because you don't seem like
Okay.
Britney is your main thing, but the idea was singing Britney, for fun.
Right.
For funsies.
karaoke.
Looking foolish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking
Okay.
foolish. Yes. So I want to start it with eyes front. That last section. I
Okay.
feel like that would.
Yeah, I agree. That would
It's a nice-
little catchier.
Yeah.
It's a little send. Her name is Lee. Eyebrows on fleek. Knows what she needs. Karaoke and cult documentaries. Coexist in a radical way. She got so much to say. 2 podcasts, always shaking that ass. 2 podcasts, yeah, shaking that ass. Eyes front, yeah, shepherd the drunk. She shepherd the drunk. With a little step touch. Be bopping around, fooling on the town. Eyes front, she shepherd the drunks. With a little step touch. Be bopping around, fooling on the town.
I think that's
Something
great.
like
What do you
that.
think?
Yeah, that's a hit.
Yeah, we got it.
Yes. That's
The hit machine is back.
It's a jangle.
That's a hit.
Should we practice?
Let it rip.
All right.
Nah.
Eyes front.
Eyes front.
Her name is Lee. Eyebrows on fleek. She know what she needs. Karaoke and cold documentaries. She coexists in a radical way. Girl got so much to say. 2 podcasts, always shaking that ass. She got 2 podcasts, always shaking that ass. Eyes front, eyes front. Eyes front, eyes front. She's shepherding the drums with a little step touch. Eyes front, eyes front. Eyes front, eyes front. She's shepherding the drums with a little step touch. Yeah.
Eyes front.
Eyes front.
Eyes front. Eyes front. Step touch.
Step touch. Did you say Steph touch?
Maybe.
There you go.
There it is. All right. I think if we think about it anymore,
Yeah.
it'll keep getting worse.
Ruin it. All right. Well,
thank you for
that's your song.
thank you for playing the game. You're the
Oh my
best.
gosh. Yeah, that was so incredible and so fun, so foolish. I can't wait for y'all to make tons of money.
Tens of dollars.
Tens of dollars.
It's in the cards
Yes.
for sure. No, it was a blast hanging out with you today. Thank you so much for being on our
Same.
show, and let's hang out IRL.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
And tell the people where to find you.
Yes.
Where can you be found when you're not at home?
Yes. You can find me on Instagram at _Lee_Myles. I'm around, like I live here. I'm out and about. So yeah, come find me and we can hang out and sing some karaoke and I'll make you a bowl of soup and whatever. So
Amazing.
All right. Well, thank you again, and take care. We'll talk to you soon.
thanks.
Yeah, it tastes like sunshine, like a real good time, lifting my mood and it brightens my day.